Peace, family. Welcome in. Thank you for tuning in again. This is Aurora Divine, and I go by Divine Intuition here on YouTube. And I have to talk about these updates, y'all. This lunar eclipse has been very strong. Like, I feel recently I've been tapping more into lunar aspects, lunar energies. But there's something about this lunar eclipse that's just blowing everything else out of the water. You know what I'm saying? Like last year was great. This year it's a lot of energies this year, but I kind of just wanted to come on in and just speak about some of the reflections that I've been, witnessing within myself. And I wanted to see you know, if the family has any type of experiences very similar to what I've been dealing with. I think we can all relate based off of these times right now where a lot of these energies are just potent, like beyond the word potent. You know what I'm saying? Like you're seeing it very instantly. I was speaking to a very close friend of mine, and we were speaking about the fact that we definitely feel like there's a quickening happening. And so there is this jump for a lot of us, like a jump to quicken the healing process and how that might look. And I feel like these big boosts of energies that come from these eclipses are going to be just that, right? So I just want to speak on an experience that I had today that brought me back to a time where I realized I was actually suppressing within myself. And, I was just mentioning to this friend that I kind of have I took a step back from, kind of like doing certain things. I know for many women, I'm sure that you can relate. There are times where some of us, we just would rather just put our hair in a bun and not really do too much with it. We might be either A, unmotivated, or B, just in a rush, right? Or we're just lounging around the house. So there are little aspects of me that I realized again that I was kind of repressing. And I say that there is a previous video I just did based off of me realizing my Black Moon Lilith placement and how it's been affecting me. And all of that kind of came into a big focus on Monday, which was the wormhole. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not a wormhole. I'm sorry. The worm moon lunar eclipse. Wormhole is a different type of that's a different subject. I've been speaking on that too, but that's a different subject. Um and so I just feel like there's so many things that are being reflected. Now again, when we speak on eclipses, they're magnifying, right? So for lunar eclipse, it might be covered, but it's magnifying the crap out of these energies. So it's expanding, it's amplifying, if that's a better word to express. Nonetheless, right? It's doing a hell of a job. Let's just say that. And so I just want to give an experience today. So I had to go to City Hall, and I had to go to City Hall because I was trying to get like some parking permits. My block just recently became zoned parking, which means that I pretty much have to have like a little permit zone parking, residential permit zone parking sticker in order for me to not get ticketed or towed on my block, right? So I went downtown, had to go to City Hall, and I took the train. That was probably the easiest way. So it's just one way there, one way back. And I get on the train and I literally feel I was on my phone, so I was listening to something. Um, but I think it was two stops after I got on. There's this guy and he's just staring at me, right? He's literally just staring at me. And then he's just making comments like, first he's complimenting me, like, oh, you're so beautiful. I can't stop staring at you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So I'm kind of like blushing a little, because he's very direct. That's what it was. It was a very direct approach. I'm not really used to very direct approaches, to be honest. A lot more people are kind of a little more subtler. But again, it's in front of everybody, right? So he's very direct. And this train is not empty, it's pretty packed, especially when you're going to downtown. So, anyways, he starts making comments like, oh, I'm getting annoyed with you. I'm getting annoyed with you because my eyes won't stop staring at you. And I'm a friendly person, not as friendly as to give my name or any personal information, but I'm like, well, I'm going to walk away. And we started kind of like chuckling. I didn't move from where I was. Like I said, the train is pretty packed. So, he starts asking me like, oh, are you married? Oh, how many times you've been married? And I'm like, too personal, yo. Like, you're doing the most right now. So then he's asking my name. I don't give him my name, because again, I'm not that friendly. Like, I'm cool. I'm not that friendly. I don't know you. So, he decides to give me a name and he decides to call me Isabella. 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 Like Isabella. Isabella. Anyways, which is really um synchronistic. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, anyways, that's his name for me, right? Now, I come from the Caribbean. My heritage is from the Caribbean. And Isabella is like Isla Bella, Bella, right? Like beautiful island. Um, but whatever, how can I say this? Whatever his spirit decided to call me was very synchronistic. Um, and so he's just like, oh, that's my wife, you my wife. And now he's saying this out loud, right? So then the next stop, his friend gets on and he knows this guy. And it's crazy how this man went from complimenting, flirting to just downright vulgar and disrespectful, right? In front of his friend. So this is how fast this man changed moods. So his friend, however he feels he has to portray himself in front of this man, he's talking about, oh, I got a piece of white bread. Let's make a sandwich. He introduces this man to me. Like he stands up and he was like, oh, yo, that's my wife, Isabella. And he was like, yeah, you met my wife. And the friend thinks that he's real serious. And he was like, oh, nice to meet you. And I said, he's just messing with you. And he was like, oh, shit. And he was like, he had said something like, oh, yeah, you even know her name. And he was like, nah, she didn't give me her name. I gave her that name. And so he's just like doing the most. But I started to realize, I think this man is kind of drunk. He's talking about smoking weed, going down to like a certain suburb. And anyways, he's just kind of like being belligerent. Um, but I realized it was triggering me. It was really triggering me. And it triggered me back to when I was 14. That's how long ago I've been holding this in, right? So another reason why I guess I kind of really don't do too much with myself, especially when I go out, is because of the way men act. For instance, the way that this guy was asked was act sorry, the way that this man was acting was so out of character of what I'm used to. It kind of like makes me shell and close up, you know? And I remember that I've had an experience like that before and it triggered me. So hearing him like speaking vulgar and kind of like looking at me like I'm a sex object, and I know that some men can't, I would say men who are unhealed can't help themselves, right? Um, Unfortunately, he didn't have self control, so that's why he can't help himself. If that makes sense. Um, so it triggered me, and it started making me reflect back on a memory that I had when I was 14. When I was 14, um, I was on the train with my mom, and my mom had a boyfriend at this time. Mind you, this is like 20 years ago, right? So lo and behold, I realized I've been holding this in for 20 years. And I swear to you, since this full moon eclipse, it's been up from here. Like everything wants to come up, you know, like everything. So I'm like, yo, I'm having literally realization after realization, reflection after reflection, trigger after trigger. But all of this stuff is coming up to the surface for a reason. So, anyways, what happened was when I was 14, I was on the train. We were taking the train somewhere. I forgot where. Same train, literally the same train. And it's the same train line. There's this guy who comes in from a different cart and he looks at me. I'm sitting with my mom, right? My mom's sitting next to me. My mom's boyfriend is sitting right across from us. And this guy comes in and he is coming from a cart from the cart previous. And the first thing that he starts doing is making comments about me. Like, oh my God, you're so fucking beautiful. And I'm 14 at this time. This guy is way older. This guy is at least 20 years older than I am, right? My mom's boyfriend got so pissed. He was ready to beat the shit out of him, like box him right there. And he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She's a 14-year-old. She's a fucking child. Because I was at that time, you know, like 14 is not no 18 years old. Anyways, yeah, it's just not happening. So he was so pissed because there was obviously, I realized when I was younger, I got a lot of attention. And because I got that type of attention where people just couldn't control themselves, like I'm so serious, people couldn't control themselves. It started making me actually shut down and kind of like dim my light, you know? And that triggered me again today. And I was like, you know what? Wow. Like I was literally feeling triggered, but it brought me back to that memory. And I was like, oh my gosh, this eclipse. Like first thing I thought was like this eclipse has got me like bringing all of that up, like everything that I want to hold in, it's just coming to the surface. And it will be the memories that pop up. It will be these circumstances where it's situations that pop up, but all of that is coming up and it's not allowing me to hold it in anymore. Like that's what I realized. I also realized that this Lilith placement that I have in my chart is what initiated all of this to come up to the surface. So, man, the funniest thing is that I realized that my Lilith placement, and I gotta see, you know, um, how long it is for when your placement how long it takes for that placement. I guess to be honest, what I'm trying to say is this Lilith placement, it got activated times a million. It got activated to the point where this eclipse did something for me so so beyond the word did something. It's making me realize, making me reflect, all the re words, right? Making me remember, making me everything, making me reassess, making me reprocess. Like it's a it's making me really like look at everything. It's it's making me stumble on my words. Like that's why I'm like, yo, I know that there are other people out here. I know that there's family out here that is literally going through some really deep changes, you know? And I feel like it's happening so quickly. I just had something pop up earlier today. I just had this and this situation that happened not even like 3, 4 hours ago. And I'm just in awe because I feel like there's a quickening happening. And I say this to say the quickening is going to allow us to bring all of these things that we've been holding in. 20 years is a long time to hold something in. And then I realized it's not my problem that people cannot help themselves. You know, I do have to probably walk around with some type of protection on me because people are just they lose they lose their shit. That's the easiest way to say. And the craziest thing is like I'm dressed like this, so they're still losing their shit. I don't understand it, but I do understand it because I've saw this happen when I was really young, like in 14. And so I realized, you know, I dimmed my light for a while because of that, because I didn't want people reacting the way that they were. Like I just thought that it made me embarrassed. I was embarrassed for these people acting the way that they were. And I took on that responsibility to dim my light so that I wouldn't be embarrassed enough for them to lose their all like just act out of character, you know? I don't want to say lose their sense of mind, kind of in that way, you know, but just act out of character. But I don't even know what their character is, so I guess I'm trying to rationalize still like why they would be acting this way. And it's not my problem. My only problem is that I need to have some protection on me, you know, but again, it just showed me that I can't be responsible to hold that in. I cannot hold that in. And so it was crazy nonetheless, you know, like it was a crazy situation because I started kind of feeling embarrassed, but I was like, no, these are not my feelings. Like I think that what I was picking up was embarrassed, like other people were embarrassed for me. I was not embarrassed. And I started kind of feeling that projection, but then the embarrassed energy that I was feeling kind of triggered something for me. Like, why should I be embarrassed if I'm getting complimented? Yeah, he's a belligerent drunk, whatever the case may be, you know. He started off nice, but then he let that guy come in and he started making a damn fool of himself. So at the end of the day, I'm more embarrassed for dude, not for me, you know? Now, can it be overwhelming? Yes, it can be, especially if it's a lot of people around, you know, all these people are just staring at you and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just minding my own business. And so I will stay minding my own business. And I didn't pay it no mind, you know. I got off the train. He said bye. I walked out and that was it. But it's just the fact that things happen, where these are going to be triggers for us at this time. And I think the best thing that I've learned about today, or just since Monday, is that don't react, just observe, just observe so that when you do start to kind of like feel whatever it is you're feeling based off of these strong type of triggers, you know where they're coming from. Like for me, I clearly felt that memory come through all over again. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't dealt with this in so long. Like, why am I dealing with this now? And I was like, that's why. There's nothing that, like, my higher self, there's nothing that we don't want to go through. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to go through everything that's going to help us move forward. And if that means that we have to bring all of these repressed emotions and repressed memories, or just things that stopped us. Unfortunately, I noticed that when I was 14, I had to dim my light. And I noticed the difference right away. Right away. You know, um, I noticed that I started wearing hoodies so people wouldn't look at me. I started wearing baggier clothes so people would not look at me. I started kind of like literally dimming my light. And that's because I didn't know what I knew now. And I probably wasn't strong enough to deal with so much that was coming then. But that's over and done with, you know, that's over and done with completely. So that was just, my experience that I had today. If you can relate, which I'm sure, there is somebody out there that can relate, maybe not to my specific story, but, to a lot of things that you might be feeling, a lot of triggers, a lot of memories, a lot of repressed emotions. Again, mine was like embarrassment and shame and me feeling over sexualized, like being sought at, over sexualized, like people looking at me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's what I've been experiencing just in today. Um, that's just one. That's just one thing that this eclipse has been doing for me. But I know that there's many people out there that, know that these energies are really strong. They're playing a very, very strong role in influencing us. And if you have any experiences you'd like to share, maybe we can share our own experiences together. Go ahead and leave some comments below. Let's see. There we are, family. If you liked this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up so that the algorithm knows that I can make more content, and I'll know that I can make more content this way. And like, share, and subscribe. Tuning in for more to come. I will go ahead and add the Lilith video that I made based off of the initial eclipse. It took me a couple of days to actually post it, so I didn't post it right on the eclipse like I wanted to. But better late than never, right? So again, if you care to share your experiences, leave your experiences. How is this lunar eclipse affecting you? Like, what have you noticed? What do you want to share about the lunar eclipse? And have you seen any changes in you? Have you seen how it's affecting you directly or indirectly, or others around you? That's always something interesting to kind of like view as well. Go ahead and leave it below. I look forward to hearing from everyone and anyone who wants to share their experiences, and just knowing that you're not the only one going through major transformation at this time. I think it's really nice to go ahead and reflect on these things. especially when we have others that we can experience this time together with. We can go ahead and we can chat it up. We can, you know that we're not the only ones dealing, or I'm sorry, not dealing, but working through these processes. So I shall leave it there, family. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Aurora Divine signing off. Peace, y'all.